Not sure if you heard, but 49ers season is kind of on the line tomorrow night against the Rams. What can we expect after the Rams kick the holy hell out of the Buffalo Bills? We'll talk about it all next on the Gold Standard Podcast, brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard podcast on the Gold Standard and the Fans First Sports Network. I'm your host, Rob Stats Guerrera, alongside a very special guest on today's program because it's Rams week. And you know by now, when we play the Rams, I need to talk to my boy, Jake ELLENBOGEN. What is up, Jake?
Oh, man, things are good. I mean, I don't have to tell you. You already saw. And I mean, I guess things are good except for the fact, Juan Soto chose the Mets. So, but
I did think of you.
Yeah, I know you did because we had that conversation after the last time. I thought he could go to Seattle.
Yeah, I had no illusions about that. For anyone that doesn't know, Jake also hosts the Yankees podcast with Gary Sheffield Jr. So the Juan Soto news was big. $765 million. And all he's got to do to get it is not die.
Yeah, exactly. It is what it is. I like the way they're pivoting, but obviously we got bigger things to talk about. Rams, 49ers, the stakes are as high as ever for both teams. I mean, say what you will. Obviously, the season looks like it could be over already, but stranger things have happened. And when you have the talent the 49ers have, we're talking about 5% chance for, say, a Bears team like that talent. Okay. But if the 49ers got some things rolling, they win this game, they could be right back in the thick of it. It's not going to be easy, but they could be right back in the thick of it.
I feel like with the Niners and the Rams, they might not get to the playoffs, but if they got to the playoffs, people would be like, oh, man, I don't know. I'm a little nervous about them. Like, I felt like the Rams last year were the team that nobody wanted to play going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, I think right now I feel really good about them getting into the playoffs. I felt good. All right, let me put it this way. This is why that win against the Bills was so great. Whether they admit it to you or not, Rob, I don't think many Rams fans ever gave themselves a shot to beat the Bills. So they were already of the assumption, they'll win out after the Bills game. They won the Bills game. So They have that kind of extra loss, potentially. We'll see how Seattle, Green Bay goes. I think Seattle wins. Then they have Minnesota. We'll see. But I mean, I think that Week 18 game is going to be Rams and Seahawks for the division. That's what I think right now. And I think there's a chance that the loser of that is going to be the 7th seed or even the 6th seed, in the NFC. And if it's the Seahawks losing and they win out and lose just that game, both teams finish at 11-6. So, I mean, Seahawks could absolutely get into the wild card with that.
I don't like any of that. Okay? I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the 49ers getting there. Of course, they can't do that unless they beat the Rams on Thursday. So I did a little, advanced scouting. I was like, let me see, because obviously I was following the Rams game, cursing out the Bills left, right, and center. I was like, let me go check out JT O'Sullivan's Stafford quarterback breakdown video this week on the Quarterback School on YouTube. If you haven't checked it out, you can go watch it. Not now. This is our time. He is playing at a level right now that is so insane. I tweeted this out yesterday and people got mad at me. He's throwing with anticipation the way Brock Purdy does. He's got an elite scheme. He's now got his elite weapons back. And oh, by the way, he rips the ball down the field. Frozen ropes, off platform, off balance, guy in his face, whatever. I don't know that I've ever seen Matthew Stafford play better, to be honest with you.
That game against the Bills, while it didn't have the stats, because you're talking about 3 rushing touchdowns that went, 2 of them to Kyren Williams and 1 went to Puka Nacua. That might have been Matthew Stafford's most complete game as a Rams quarterback. And if he's having that the year that, going into next year where everyone's saying, yeah, he's going to retire, he's going to find another team. He's not. Breaking news, he's going to stick around. He just wants more money up front. That's all. But they're going to come to a deal, whatever. it just goes to show you Stafford is not as close to the end as people may want him to be. And December Stafford is a whole different animal. The Rams have only lost one game. That game, of course, was an overtime game. So, yeah, I mean, we're talking about one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And right now, and this is what I'll say, I'm not saying he's better than Patrick Mahomes over the scope of a season or multiple seasons. But right now, there are only two quarterbacks that I would take over everybody else, and that's Josh Allen, number one, and Matthew Stafford, number two. Currently, right now, I think going into this week, Josh Allen's number one, Matthew Stafford's the second best quarterback in football.
The thing that sticks out to me is he's really good at navigating the pressure. And for a guy that's not known for running, you can't sack this guy. And it's infuriating because you feel like you should be able to, and yet you can't. And not only does he escape, it's not like he escapes and throws the ball away. He usually escapes and finds somebody down the field. So just when you think you have him, you don't, and he punishes you for it.
Exactly. And, you know, it's funny you bring that up because I did a whole study on that. And when you look at Matthew Stafford, there's not a quarterback in the league that is in charge or, you know, is charged with fewer of their sacks than Stafford. Stafford doesn't take sacks. If he takes it, it's because there was no other option. He, like Brock Purdy actually leads the league this year. I think it's 14 or 15, where he's responsible for his own sacks according to PFF. And Stafford's had 4 in his entire career with the Rams. So it just kind of puts it into perspective. This guy knows how to move throughout the pocket. He's the last. I mean, I'm not going to say pocket quarterbacks are a dying breed or a dead breed, but they are a dying breed, right? And Matthew Stafford, I feel like, is the last elite pocket passer of that like generation. I think we're going to see everybody's going to start to have their quarterbacks moving a little bit more and running. And yeah, Stafford, I think, is the last of that.
He's playing at a ridiculous level right now, along with Puka Nacua, who looks fantastic.
Oh my God! And you didn't see him week 3, so
this is what I wanted to ask you: what is the bigger impact, Cooper and Puka being back for this game on Thursday, or Debo and Kittle being back for the 49ers for this game on Thursday?
I'm going to say Cooper and Puka, and the reason is because while I think Kittle is a huge impact player, I think Debo is on his way towards a regression, or is already part of a regression.
It's my week.
You know, and I think, you know, it's only one game where Debo has to get up and play and be explosive and all that, but I haven't seen the explosion all year. And it just kind of goes to show you in a nutshell, and this is why I genuinely just don't like Debo Samuel. It goes to show you in a nutshell where his priorities are at. They just won a game that, who knows? We have no idea, but what if that 13 win over the Bears is the jump start where they beat the Rams, they go on this run, and they go to the playoffs? What if that's that? Well, the last thing I am doing is complaining about my usage. And to me, that just goes to show you in a nutshell where his priorities are at. And my biggest issue with the 49ers, and, you know, I've been very complimentary of them. I've always given them credit. But I got to tell you, I think that culture is a problem. I think I said it week 3. I'm saying it now. Damador Lenore, after they lost in week 3, is saying they got lucky. How about instead of saying they got lucky, say, can't wait for the next time we face them or whatever. You're putting bulletin board material out there for a rival that already hates you. I mean, Stafford at the end of their little video they did in the locker room, you saw it, said beat them Niners. You know, it's like there's a hatred between both teams, and I think the issue right now is the 49ers have a shot, and they have a shot to turn this thing around, right? I mean, the Rams had, I think it was a 5% chance of making the playoffs back when they were 3-6 last year. And they went on a 7 out of their last 8 game bender. But I'm just saying right now, when you look at, what's going on, like Debo Samuel has to step up. George Kittle has to step up. These guys have to play their best game. And by the way, I'm expecting them all to. Maybe not Debo, but at the very least, I think the 49ers are going to be ready for this game. I keep telling Rams fans, do not celebrate too early. Do not be sharing that video around that I hate the 49ers video or whatever the hell it's called. Don't be sharing that around, because I'll tell you right now, nothing has been determined yet. And, you don't get in trouble for celebrating too late, but you do get in trouble for celebrating too early. And so, Rob, that's not something I'm going to do. I have a lot of respect for this team. It took me a while to even admit that they were even in this spot, because a lot of people were like, oh, the 49ers are done. I'm like, I'm not dancing on their grave. I watched this team go from 3-5 to end the playoffs. I'm not dancing on their grave. With that said, I think this is the season. If they win, I think they become a very interesting team moving forward, a team that has the ability to beat anybody, and they'll likely get healthier. But if they lose this game, it's over. And you look to next year, and you might have to make some tough calls. Is George Kittle dangled for some picks? Is Debo cut? I mean, you'd have to figure a lot of things out. And if you're going to pay Brock Purdy, because I'll tell you this right now, I've been talking about this with a few 49er fans, and I'll just say Brock Purdy is a guy I've defended, but I've been very disappointed in his play this year. And I think that they being put in a situation where you're going to have to pay him $60 million is just not ideal. In my opinion, I would give him a 2-year, maybe $40 million deal, being like, look, we know it was a bad year for you, but we're giving you a raise, because we can't have you playing on the whatever this is, right? But I'm not giving you $60 million a year. You have not proven that to us. And I'll go as far as to say I'm more concerned about his arm, because I do think that injury could derail his career. I do think at some point that is going to shorten his career. And so I don't know if I'm not giving $60 million a year to a player that has that injury. I'm just not.
So, okay, a lot there to respond to. Let's start with the Debo stuff.
Yeah.
I completely agree with everything you said. I was furious when he did that. Dude, this was your most complete game of the year. The first time all year the 49ers have put together 4 good quarters. You killed the Bears. You looked like the 49ers from last year. That they used to billy club people like that last year. And just when that happens, you're sitting there complaining about your touches, which, by the way, is not true. He's on pace for more than 100 touches this season, which is the second most in his career, except for 2021. So the idea that he's not getting the ball enough and that's the only problem is just flat incorrect. He hasn't done a damn thing with the ball when he's touched it. I mean, go watch last week. He's getting tackled by defensive backs, the first guy that hits him. Debo Samuel never got tackled by the first guy that hit him. That's what made him so great. He's not the same player. He has, to be fair, had very good games against the Rams in the past. I'm sure you're well aware. He averages 90 total yards per game. He has 8 touchdowns in 10 career games, including the playoffs against the Rams. So hopefully maybe he can work a little bit of that magic and emerge for 1 week, because God knows they could really need him. But yeah, it was incredibly selfish of Debo to do what he did. And I didn't like it. And I'm pretty much done with Debo, to be honest with you. I don't think he should be back. I think that he is, while he can be effective on the field at times, I don't like the fact that you always have to worry about his weight. Every other year he comes in camp out of shape. He's not the guy that I want as the example for the wide receivers in that locker room. So yeah, we'll see what he does, but the spotlight's definitely going to be on him this week, because everybody's been talking about it. And I hope that they don't do what I think they're going to do, because I think they're going to try and feature Debo Samuel against the Rams. And if they do, the offense isn't going to do anything. They featured George Kittle last week, and they steamrolled the Bears. That's who they need to feature, and Juwan Jennings. And I hope they don't make this a Debo game.
Well, I think, in the past, I think Rams fans would not want it to be a Debo game, but right now I think they would. I mean, you just saw, week 3, Juwan Jennings goes for 175 yards and 3 touchdowns, who, by the way, I've always been pro Juwan Jennings. I said he was capable, maybe not of that, right? I don't think anybody's like, yeah, see, 175 3. I said exactly he would do that. No. But Juwan Jennings is a special player because he's not overly great at anything athletically. He's not like just jump off the stats, 40 time. I think he ran like a 4.7 or something like that. He doesn't have a crazy anything measurable wise. However, what he does are the little things. He blocks. He's a great route runner. He's very, very smart. And when you see him, he's always able to find the soft spot in the zone, sit down, and he's got a bigger build. He's not one of those scrappy, shorter wide receivers. So he could take a punishment. He could take a hit. He could also break tackles. He could make plays after the catch. And what I think a lot of people don't understand is that 40 time, that only matters in terms of you going the distance, right? You turning, some screen pass. Like Tyreek Hill is taking a screen 80 yards for a touchdown. He's going to blow by everybody. That's all that means. But if I need you to run for 10 yards, do you think that 4.7, 40-yard dash is going to matter? It's not. And that's what people don't understand.
Yeah, 4.72, I think, 40-yard dash. Second slowest of any receiver at the combine that year, I believe. And there was actually a play. I just went back and rewatched the week, 3 game. And there was a play where he got behind the defense on a quick slant. And if he had just that little extra burst, he wouldn't have got tackled. It was a shoestring tackle that brought him down. If he was just that little bit faster, he would have taken it to the house. But he's the heart and soul of this offense. He and Kittle, he's been a monster this season. When they have called upon him, he has answered almost every single time. They are definitely going to need him this week against the Rams. They need to make it a Kittle and a Jennings game. That's who the offense needs to go through. I don't know what you're going to get out of the run game. Isaac Guerrero certainly has the raw physical skills to be good and certainly to break some big plays. But I don't know, down in and down out, to me, he doesn't look that great. He goes down pretty much at first contact. So I don't really love Isaac Guerrero from the ground game perspective. To me, it's got to be 15. It's got to be 85. I'd like to see Ricky Pearsall make an appearance. Would be cool. But yeah, that's what I hope the offense looks like for the Niners.
Well, you just said, that's music to the Rams' ears. He goes down on first contact. You've watched the Rams. They struggle to tackle. They still have that issue. Just look at, it's funny. Just look at the Bills game. I don't know if you saw that play to Khalil Shakir where I think Kevin Burkhardt was about to lose his mind. I think Kevin Burkhardt was about to stroke out because you have this soft zone deployed and Khalil Shakir just sits down right in the middle of the field and he breaks one tackle and then these two guys just converge. He just bounces off them. And it's that's the thing is that when you're going up against a Jordan Mason, you're going up against a Christian McCaffrey, these are guys that can make you pay after contact. But if you're telling me Guerrero doesn't have an after contact game, I don't know if the run game is going to be effective. And so at that point, I'd be looking at Izzy Abanikanda. I'd be looking at Patrick Taylor to try and do something. Not saying they would, although I really, really like Izzy Abanikanda. I always have out of Pittsburgh. I think he is a really, really good talent. And I think just unfortunate for him, the Jets had an opportunity to add some players they really liked in the draft. One of them being, Braylon Allen. The other one was Isaiah Davis, very underrated player. Isaiah Davis is the guy right now. If the 49ers had him, I'd be a little concerned because he can break a lot of tackles. But if you don't have the run game, then I don't know how Brock Purdy's going to be able to do anything. And I think that's the thing. That's the thing in this game is that I think you're going to need a balanced approach. This isn't one of those games where I think Kyle can just flex his muscles like he has in the past, where Christian McCaffrey's throwing a touchdown or Debo's throwing a touchdown or Juwan Jennings. He's tried it 3 times. This is a game where you have to suck the soul out of the Rams' young defense. You have to keep them on the field the whole game. You have to take away, you have to look at it if that offense did what they did against the Bills, if that's for real, which I believe it is, because the first time back-to-back weeks the Rams had a starting offensive line that was healthy. So let me make that very clear. This is what their offense was supposed to be before the season. But if that is legit, why do you want them on the field? You don't. So the best way to beat them is keep them on the sideline. And Kyle Shanahan say what you will about him, great play caller. He can keep him on the sideline. He just has to have, like, McVay had that kind of legacy game against the Bills last week. Kyle Shanahan needs to have that same thing this week.
I did see Kyle Shanahan come down from 17 points down on the road to beat the Rams a couple of years ago. That was kind of a game.
Yeah. Was that was in Santa Clara, right?
No. That was in LA.
Oh, you're talking about the one in yeah. No, what was the one? The one in Santa Clara, was that 2019? Yes, it was, because it basically knocked the Rams out of playoff contention.
Yes, that was week 16, I think, right? It was 34-31.
Yeah, they got up 21-0. The Rams did, and they blew it.
It was 21-0? Why am I not remembering that?
Yeah, I was at my friend's house in Connecticut, and
it was 21-10.
21-10, okay. It was 21-10, and then, crazy.
Raheem Mostert had a touchdown. Warner had a 46-yard pick six that put the Niners ahead. Then the Rams went ahead with a Cooper Kupp touchdown, and then in the fourth quarter, Kittle scored a TD, and then they exchanged field goals, and Robbie Gould won it at the buzzer.
I remember that. Yeah, the TV went out when he kicked it. So I didn't see it, but I got the alert from, I think it was ESPN, and it was just like, you lost. It was like, oh, sick.
You don't have to worry about the field goal kicker now, because Jake Moody is in all sorts. I mean, it is a mess right now. Don't forget, the Niners should have been up by 10 late in the fourth quarter of that game, but Jake Moody missed a field goal that would have put him up by 10, one of the many mistakes the 49ers made at the end of that game. Last week, he had two kickoffs that he shanked. Like, he kicked him short of the landing zone. And they asked Kyle, like, were you trying to do that to, get tricky? He was like, nope, he just shanked him, was that exact quote. He just shanked two kicks. He's awful. So if it comes down to a field goal, don't worry.
Yeah, well, I am still going to worry. Sorry, Rob. Hate to break it to you. I can't watch a field goal like that and sit there and be like, I'm not even going to look. I'll turn around and I'll just be like, you know what? Because I can't even bear for that. But yeah, I mean, he's struggled, but also, as much as I love, Josh Carty, he's had his moments as well. So, I mean, I can't say the field goal kicking is rock solid right now on either side. What I can say is I was very encouraged by the Rams special teams unit, because getting that blocked punt, you go back and you look at any big upset, and there's always one of those wacky plays that happens. And the blocked punt, say what you will, it doesn't make it a fluke win, but the blocked punt basically had the Bills spiral out of control, and essentially, like, they were down by more than 10 at one point in this game. The Rams never, trailed in that game, but the blocked punt put them in a position. So if they're able to do that again against a non-Goliath, because, I mean, while I think the Niners can win this game, I do, I'm not looking at the Niners like the Niners when they were at their best right now. I mean, they're banged up. Completely. If they had Christian McCaffrey, even if they had Jordan Mason, I think this is a way closer game, because Mason, he's tough. He's a really good back.
Yes,
but I don't know, like, being down to Guerrera, and I don't think they're really going to use Abanikanda or Patrick Taylor that much. I kind of have a feeling you're right on the Debo thing. I think they'll probably result to trying to use Debo as the running back.
Yep. Brace yourself for a lot of that. A lot of 2-yard gains coming your way.
He'll just magically turn into Earl Campbell against the Rams. We know how this works.
Well, you mentioned the special teams. Remember, the Rams had one of those against the Niners. They had the fake punt. The Rams were down 14 points, and it was like, hey, the Niners are going to take control of this game. They forced the Rams to punt the ball, and here we go. We'll get the ball back. We'll maybe make it a 3-score game. And instead, the Rams do the fake punt, which everybody in the universe should have seen coming. I was screaming in my TV. Niners special teams have been dreadful all year long. They do at least one hideously stupid thing every single week, to the point where if it happens, the network will have the package of special teams bungles ready to go, because they've had it ready for weeks, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So that'll be a real thing that happens. But tell me about the Rams defense. This is where I'm concerned. I was so happy Aaron Donald retired. I was like, yes, awesome. No more Aaron Donald. This is great. Now we're really going to stick it to the Rams. And now instead, you've basically replenished the cupboard with Verse and with Fisk, right? Is that
Yeah.
Yeah, Fisk. Like, what the hell, man? Tell me about this defense. What are they good at?
Well, I remember the last time we reconvened, I told you they were ahead of schedule. I didn't know that they were going to lose all those games afterwards, but they were ahead of schedule defensively. They were just giving up a lot of yards on the ground. But, I mean, when you look at this defense since the bye, the Eagles-Bills game, sure, but they've been really good, and they forced turnovers. Guys like Cameron Kinchins, who I talked about in week 3, who didn't look like he belonged on the field, their third-round pick. Now, he looks like a stud. He had a huge pass breakup on a Josh Allen deep ball that, who knows what the game looks like if he doesn't, step up and make that play. In addition to that, they're using Michael Hoyt now with the other two pass rushers, Byron Young and Jared Verse at the same time. They're calling it the Cheetah package. It's something that Nick Saban used. I believe it was with Will Anderson, Braswell, and then I'm totally blanking on the other pass rusher. But yeah, so they used them, at Alabama. The Rams are using that more. They're using now a UDFA linebacker, Omar Spates, who's come into his own. Was graded out is the highest graded player according to PFF the week before the Bills game against the Saints. So they found a really good player in Omar Spates. But as far as the pass rush, Rob, it's only gotten way more dynamic. It's only gotten way better. They're the number one team in pressure rate right now. Jared Verse, who played a little banged up last week, dealt with an ankle going up against Deion Dawkins. I think it really hurt him, but he still had 4 pressures. Braden Fisk, he's as good as he's ever been. Just continues to get better and better and better each week. Like I mentioned, Michael Hoyt's playing well. Byron Young, although he's been kind of a penalty machine as of late hits, what have you. So hopefully he cuts that out. But they're getting a lot of pressure. They got guys like Ty Davis in the rotation as well that you can just throw in there out of Clemson, and he could get pressure. And Bobby Brown has been so key and critical on 3rd and 4th down. If you remember that Seahawks game when they went for it on 4th down, despite the fact they could have kicked a field goal in OT, no idea why they did that. Bobby Brown was there to stop Kenneth Walker, basically being a total wall. So right now, their defense is not perfect. It's young. It's got issues. And if Kobe Durant doesn't play because he has a lung contusion, if he doesn't play, he's been a very good corner for them. Akella would step in, and Akella Witherspoon should be starting. But Darius Williams has been the weak link at corner, and that is my concern. I think Jawan Jennings or whoever is going up against him could have a really big game because he's been getting bullied as of late. And it's been the thing about the Rams is that they're in position, but I don't know if it's the way they're coached or what have you, but you look at their defensive backs, there's a 4th and 15, play where Josh Allen underthrows it to a player and Quentin Lake doesn't turn around and play the ball. If he turns it around, the game's over. Right then and there. It is over. And the same thing goes for Darius Williams. If he turns around and plays the ball, the game's over. But instead, he tries to face guard the guy. And so I think there's a lot of that. And, that could be good. That is a certain way of playing defense if you're good at it, whatever. But it could also lead to penalties because there's been a heavy emphasis on turning around and seeing the ball and locating it. And so I think that's really, that's really that. So I think, Rob, the defense, people are going to look at that Bills game, and I've already seen it, and say the Rams defense is terrible. But it's not. That was just Josh Allen, and you don't have Josh Allen.
Yeah, don't remind me. Can you do me a favor? Your mic is kind of popping a little bit. Can you pop out?
Oh, is it?
Hop back in, and maybe we can
let's see.
Get that squared away. I will do my best to tap dance while you do that. Look, the Niners are going to have their work cut out for them. Okay, you're not playing the Bears this week. It's not Caleb Williams back there. It's Matt Stafford, and he has been amazing and will continue to be amazing. Let's see how we're doing.
Is that any better?
I don't know. Keep talking.
I don't know what to say. Okay. You were talking about Matthew Stafford.
Yes, I was. No, it's still kind of popping a little bit. I
don't know what that is. Hold on.
I know what it is. You did extreme with Grant Cohn, and now your equipment doesn't work. Sabotage. That's what it sounds like to me.
That has to be it. That has to be it. Let me see if I unplug and plug it.
Okay. sometimes can work. The other thing that I wanted to point out is the Niners offense. One of the most refreshing things that the Niners did against the Bears was they scored when they got to the damn red zone, and they have struggled to do that all year long. If the Niners are going to win this game and are going to compete with the Rams, they're going to absolutely have to score touchdowns in the red zone when they get there, because I know the Rams are going to do it. And now we can't hear you. Oh, boy. Technical difficulties on the program today. Happens to the best of us. We'll try and get that worked out. But yeah, I could clearly see a scenario, and it happened in the first matchup with these two teams where the Niners got down to the red zone and they had a chance to take control of the game. And it's something that we have seen too many times with this Niners team. They simply cannot punch it in. You know, the games hinge on those type of possessions. You're up 2 scores. Can you make it a 3-score game? Can you, if you get down to the red zone, if you're going to make it a 2-score game, can you make it a 14-point game instead of a 10-point game? That stuff matters, and the 49ers have not executed in those critical situations this year. Let's try this again. Jake, speak to the masses.
Oh, man. I'm so over this. I am so over this. We're not doing that ever again. Yeah, I don't even know what you said because it just kept cutting in and out because I unplugged it. But,
too long to listen version. Niners need to score when they get in the red zone, because if they don't, they're not going to be able to keep up with the Rams.
Yes, 100% yes. If the Niners are scoring in the red zone and doing what the Bills did, they got a really good shot of winning this game, because here's the thing. They're at home. They don't have to travel, and the Rams aren't traveling that far. Mm-hmm. But it's just that like thing in your head, like I have to go on the road on a Thursday, short week, after playing that style of game. If you have another one of those games, I don't know if you want to play another shootout like that. I think I would probably lean towards the home team in that one, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be a shootout. I think it'll be a good game. I mean, I got 31-24 Rams. But I'm not at all trying to sit here and discredit and act like the 49ers don't belong in the same field as the Rams like some people. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here, okay? That game was 27-24, and every game the Rams have against the 49ers, for the most part, unless it's just an absolute blowout, is a close game, and it should be because they're rivals. It's the way it is. You really know Kyle knows Sean, Sean knows Kyle. There's not one thing those guys could call out there that the other guy doesn't already know that they have in their playbook. So should be fun. And
Sean likes to beat Kyle. You know he likes to beat Kyle. I'll never forget in that game we talked about a couple years ago when the Rams were up 17-0 and Sean McVay is celebrating in the end zone with the Rams after they scored a touchdown to make it 17-0. I was like, damn.
Remember what Skip Bayless called him?
No, what did he call him?
Sean McYay.
That's not bad. Not gonna lie. But he wants to beat Kyle badly, and he's got it over Kyle right now. You know, he got the 2 Super Bowls too, except Sean McVay won one. And you know, there's a lot of bitter Niner fans that like to say, yeah, the Rams, of course, got to the Super Bowl because they got there the year Patrick Mahomes didn't get to the Super Bowl. But that's, you know, there's some bitterness there. So we got to take that with a grain of salt. You mentioned the environment, though, and I do think that's could be a factor. First of all, Niners are at home. It's going to be Thursday night. It's prime time. All the fans know how big of a game this is. That's going to be a hostile environment. Plus, you may have Dre Greenlaw coming back for the first time all season, who tore his Achilles in the Super Bowl. I don't expect him to be anywhere close to, you know, prime Dre Greenlaw because that's a devastating injury. But he gives this team a level of juice, a level of enthusiasm, a physicality that they have sorely lacked this year. If it's his first game, he's going to come out like a freaking wild man. And I think that could really give the Niners an emotional lift in a very friendly home environment in a big-time game.
Yeah, I do too. I understand some people will look at it like, yeah, Matt Milano didn't quite look that great with the Bills, but I think it's just different. I mean, to get a guy back, I mean, these guys this is a brotherhood. And when you get Dre Greenlaw back on the field, regardless of how you feel about him, the 49ers, their team in general, they're going to be hyped. I mean, this guy hasn't played. Last time he played was the Super Bowl. So, yeah, I do think that helps. Hufanga has had really good games against the Rams. I don't even remember. He might have played week 3. I think he did. But, he's back from what I saw.
Yep.
Is Trent Williams going to play?
I don't think so. He hasn't practiced in like 2 weeks. He hasn't practiced all week this week. He was going around the locker room on an ankle, like a knee scooter. The other day. Man. His ankle is all jacked up. So I don't think he's going to play. I don't think Nick Bosa is going to play. Although
if they don't have Nick Bosa or Trent Williams, then it's going to be hard to beat the Rams. Right now.
It seems like they keep kind of hinting that maybe Bosa can play, but I don't know. He hasn't practiced in weeks also. I'm sure he wants to play, but I don't think he's going to play either. So I am worried about the pass rush against Matthew Stafford, who, as I said earlier, is difficult to sack anyway. But now you're looking at a situation where Leonard Floyd is going to be your best pass rusher, who did have a decent game against the Bears last week, one of his former teams, and Yetur Gross-Matos. Those are the two.
Player of the week.
That's true, which, want a weird stat? The 49ers have had 2 players of the week this season. You want to know who they are? Yetur Gross-Matos and Jake Moody.
Just like we all would. Hey, Yetur has got a fantastic story, so it's easy to like that kid. He's been through a lot. But yeah, that's just totally out there. Bosa needs to suck it up.
Yeah, Ray Torres is right. Fred Warner's been playing on a fractured ankle since week 4.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good.
Yeah.
Because now you're getting later in the year where that fractured ankle, if he fractures it, like more, whatever, if it comes off, I don't know. How does that work?
Fred Warner loses a foot, he's going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, it's late in the year, so now you worry about how that, splashes back onto 2025. Now you start worrying, because that's the problem. These late season injuries. Look, Tyler Higbee, from that dirty hit that Kirby Joseph had on his knee. Tyler Higbee is still not back. And he might not play this week. So he probably won't.
Right?
What was that?
Did he practice yesterday?
Yeah, so he's practiced. But McVay said 2 weeks ago he's probably healthy, but we're going to be smart with him. That should make people feel good, because that tells me that they believe that they're going to go to the playoffs. Because, why else are you? Yeah, we're going to be smart with him. We're just not going to play him right now. We're 5 and whatever. And now, no. They clearly feel good about their chances there, as they should. But it's just a reminder, it's all valiant and everything to play on a broken ankle. But if that gets worse, it's not going to come off. But if that gets worse, then, now you have issues, because the last thing you want that to do is bleed into next year, when this year is already very, very unlikely. Not that it's over, but,
Right. And we've seen injuries like Dre Greenlaw bleed over into this one and drastically affect the season. Twigster54 on Twitch says Rams are Puka and Kyron. If our secondary steps up, we have a hope, and they also have a real mental issue with us. I don't think the Rams do anymore. No. The Rams were down 10 points in the 4th quarter earlier this year and came back and won. I think winning in the NFC Championship game in 2021 put that to bed. I know they ended up losing more in the regular season after that, but I think it's the 49ers with the mental issue late in games. When they have a lead and the other team starts to come back, we've seen it too many times this year, particularly in NFC West games. They blew leads to the Seahawks, they blew lead to the Cardinals, and they blew a lead to the Rams. I think it's the 49ers now, Jake, that have the mental issue.
No, I agree. I mean, did they have a chance to beat the 49ers back in 2022 on that Monday Night Football game? Yes, that interception to Hufanga, as everyone will remember, the 24-9 loss. That was just a really, really well-timed play. I mean, you just don't normally see that. But, they absolutely had a shot to win that. And then the 31-14 game, still Stafford was healthy, and they lost that. And so people look back on that. But to your point, in 2023, that week 2 game was a young Rams team without Cooper Kupp, was a young Rams team banged up, and they went toe-to-toe with the 49ers and could have won that game with Kyron Williams starting in his first ever football game. That was 30-23. Then they win week 18 with backups, right? 21-20, the backup bowl. And then 2024, you win the game 27-24 without not only Cooper Kupp, but Puka Nacua, who went off in their first meeting, the year prior. So I do think the Rams have considerably closed the gap. I don't think they think about the 49ers as the monkey off their back. Right now, the monkey off their back team, there's two, and they're both in the NFC North. It's the Lions and it's the Packers. They haven't beaten I don't remember the last time. Oh, I do. I was there. The last time they beat the Packers was 2018 when Aaron Rodgers lost his mind because they were going to get the ball back to have a chance to go down the field and win the game, and Ty Montgomery fumbled the kickoff.
Hate to see it. I'm sorry. I have no love for Aaron. Like, Aaron Rodgers can't lose enough for me. The fact that he has...
So you're rooting for the Rams next week?
Well, no, but the fact that he has lost to the 49ers in the playoffs every single time will always forever give me great, great joy.
Man.
Should mention, by the way, the spread of this game. I'm surprised. I can't believe I waited so long to actually bring it up. The spread of this game is Niners by 3. They are the home team. I'm continue to say I don't know why you would favor the Niners. Like, yeah, they beat the Bears, but I actually took the Bears last week in the points. Like, I'm going to take the Rams in the points in this one. Give me the 3 points. I think this is going to be a close game either way. It's either going to be a close game or the Rams are going to blow the 49ers out, frankly. So I'll take the Rams in the 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of those things where I just think is silly. I understand it's a rivalry game and the 49ers are coming off a blowout win, but the Rams just beat the Bills. And it's just silly to open up as +3. I'm not saying they need to be this. Honestly, this should probably be a pick 'em, but I'm not even saying it has to be. Just the idea that they're like, this is a default. Yeah, 49ers are clearly, there. Because this is what you're saying, is that if you have 3 points on the road, that's standard for a underdog and a favorite. And I just don't necessarily agree with that. Now, we're going to find out, and I think a lot of it stems from the fact the Rams beat the 49ers the first time, and it's hard to sweep a team. But it doesn't feel like there's any data to support this. It feels like they're just like, I don't know. Maybe they didn't even set the odds. I don't know.
Someone's just putting a default bet
just
in there.
Just fill it in. They're up until 4 a.m. and they're like, just put it in. All right, that'll work.
Over under is 49.5. I think I would take the over in this game. If you want to make that bet or any other bet, please do it with BetUS. You can receive 150% on your first deposit and 125% on your second and third deposit, up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. Thank you to BetUS for sponsoring this channel and also Jake's channel as well. Remember, you get 24/7 personalized service, 365 days a year with BetUS, and you get a personal account manager to help you with your bets and anything else you may need. So please do it with BetUS. I think I would take the over. We've seen some crazy Niners-Rams game. Remember that game in 2017 with Brian Hoyer, the color rush game?
I just watched that game.
Yeah,
I couldn't sleep last night. I was just like, let's throw it on. Crazy game.
So funny story about that game. That game happened, and then at the time I was working for NBC Sports. I was producing Pro Football Talk. So that game happened. The next year, we were at the owners' meetings, and Kyle Shanahan came by the set. And Chris Sims was there because he came by to see Chris, and we had him on the show. And Chris said, hey, Kyle, I want you to meet Rob. He's a crazy 49ers fan. And I was like, I met him. Hey, how you doing? And then I was like, man, I can't believe that Rams game. And then immediately Kyle jumped to, oh, yeah, I know, but they called a bogus pass interference against us on the final drive. Like, he was still mad about that game.
Oh, my God. Well, that game, it's really funny. That game was almost in a way kind of the opposite, almost the anti-Bills game. That was sloppy, man. Yeah. That was sloppy all over the place, but it was so exciting. Because 41-39, it's just a random Thursday night football game. Like Brian Hoyer, Jared Goff, and Garrett Selleck catching a touchdown, and it was just wild. Mostert actually got the onside kick.
It went off of a 49ers back, and he recovered the onside kick. It was a crazy ending.
That was wild.
ultimately Aaron Donald came through and sacked Brian Hoyer at the end of the game that closed it out. But we've seen this rivalry is crazy. It's going to be so much fun on Thursday. I absolutely cannot wait to watch it. Is there any, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Is there any prop that you have seen for the game that you find particularly interesting?
I haven't seen any prop yet, but I will take the over on any Puka Nacua receiving yard.
Ooh, all right. Hold on. Well, let me check really quick.
I mean, it could be 125, and I would take the over on that.
It's 88.5.
Yeah, well, what did I just tell you, man? I'd take 125. Puka Nacua right now, outside of Justin Jefferson, I mean, he might be the second best receiver in the league. He does everything. And I know, like, we could get into the semantics. Oh, well, you know, not every receiver has routes cleared out for him, and not every receiver uses motion. I don't give a rip. If I need one guy, if I need to count on one guy that's going to make that sideline grab, there's not a player in the league that's doing that on the level of Puka Nacua. That throw that Stafford made was a throw that you can't even replicate in a video game. And the catch Puka Nacua made, you also can't even replicate in a video game. I tweeted this out. I said the stuff we saw from Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, that crazy catch he had in the end zone, the stuff we saw on Sunday, Madden couldn't even create animations for. Like, they transcend video games.
They'll try. They added the Saquon Barkley reverse hurdle. Maybe they'll try to add.
How does that look?
I don't know. I haven't seen. I don't actually own that game this year because I think that they've been mailing it in for the past couple of years, so I refuse to buy it.
They have, so I agree.
I got into a whole thing with them and EA Sports. It was a whole mess back in the day. But yeah, Puka Nacua, he's really good. I agree with everything you said. I would take the over on that. I would take the Jawan Jennings over because I think he's going to get featured. Debo's over is 49.5 receiving yards. I think I would take the under.
So Debo's total yards, I don't know what that looks like with the rushing. I just think he's gonna carry more in this game. Because this is their last hurrah. So you don't have to worry about, oh yeah, well, like, we need to keep him. No. Like, if you lose, this is over. So you need to, like, throw the kitchen sink. This could be his last game as a 49er for all we know. Who knows? But I just feel like his rushing, Puka's receiving, man, if I could, they wouldn't have it up there, but Tutu Atwell passing touchdown is going to happen. I'm telling you.
Well, they tried it earlier this year.
They did.
It's a tutu train, right? Isn't that what they call it? And they tried it, and it was caught, but I don't think it was caught in bounds, or I forget. It didn't end up counting for whatever reason. The Matthew Stafford rushing over-under is 0.5. 0.5? All he's got to do is have one rushing yard, and he hits his over?
I'm not taking that. I'm not. That is a landmine if I've ever seen one. I love Stafford, but they don't let him run.
I get suckered into those bets where it's like all you need is one little tiny thing, one little play, and I get suckered into them. I've lost more money on those stupid bets, so I'm going to stay away from it. But I just happen to see that it was 0.5, and that's crazy.
I'm with you, man. I'm sure there's somebody that hit on that bet. It was like 0.5 yards for Garrett Selleck in that 2017 game, and they were on top of the world.
I know exactly how I would lose it. Stafford would have a 2-yard run, and then he would have 2 kneel downs at the end of the game. And that's a bad beat waiting to happen.
Yeah, no, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. If I had, like, it's not college football because those are ridiculous. It'll be like -35, like over under, because they count the sack yards, like the lost yards on a sack in college, as rushing.
Okay.
So yeah, those are ugly. But
Hugh Jassel says, I'd like to see a Brock Purdy, Matt Stafford shootout with the 49ers win just for aesthetics and morale. I don't care if it's a shootout. I don't care if it's a 2-0 49ers win. I just want to win, man. I have said all year, even before the year started, this year was not about style points for the 49ers. Last year was style points. Last year was 30 points a game, and they were kicking everybody's ass. This year is about, like, just get into the playoffs by hook or by crook. And right now it's looking like by crook.
Hey, I'm with you. Well, I'll say it is this. If the Rams do sweep the 49ers, by the way, people are probably wondering when the last time that happened. Do you know, by the way? It's only happened once in Sean McVay's career.
2017.
No.
2018.
2018. 2017, it didn't happen because the last game of the year, they played Sean Mannion.
Sweet.
Yeah. So the last time this happened was 2018. The last time they blocked a punt and took it back for a touchdown was 2018. And they went to the Super Bowl that year. They lost.
All right. Stop,
but
man.
they went to the Super Bowl.
Oh, man. I see what you're doing there. Now, look, the Rams are one of those teams, like we said, if they get into the playoffs, I think they could be very, very dangerous. I don't like what you said about the offense, how they're sort of gaining momentum and the train is going down the tracks there. It's going to be a huge game, but I'm excited to watch it, and I'm very grateful for your time, for coming on, Jake. I really appreciate it. I know you're constantly streaming. I know you just did a stream a couple hours ago, like I said, with Grant, so thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thanks to BetUS, again, for sponsoring this video. Once again, if you want to sign up for BetUS, use code YouTube150. That's code YouTube150. Thank you to BetUS. Thank you to everybody for watching. Make sure you join us tomorrow. We'll do a preview show in the afternoon, and then we'll do the instant reaction show, of course, immediately after the game, hopefully celebrating a win, but could be another 49ers therapy session. We'll see. But thanks, everybody, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.